Hello guys, this is the ASMRMedic. I hope you're well. Today we're doing something a little bit different, and I have to say, something bloody interesting, actually. We're covering as you can probably tell by the title, the history of yarn. I say it's different, obviously it's still educational, and still one of the many thrilling topics that I usually cover on this channel. But this time it's more of a subscriber requested video. So let's just get stuck straight into it. I don't want to waste any more of your time with this pointless rambling. Let's get stuck into something that really matters. As I said, the history of yarn. Brilliant stuff. Let's get going. So the way that I kind of wanted to set this out was to kind of start off with a drawing. I've got a nice lovely drawing of a spool of yarn, I suppose. And as I draw this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of stop and start here and there so that I can tell you a few riveting facts about yarn. I have to say, it's slightly embarrassing, but I must confess, I wasn't totally convinced this was going to be a particularly good topic to cover. So I thought, you know what? No, let's not just always go with conventional, this boring medical stuff and science and all this sort of thing. Let's see what's out there and then make our mind up. And I have to say, I am pleasantly surprised to say that I was wrong. Yarn has a bountiful and fruitful history that I have to say, I can only thank, I think it's Gamer Mood 242 for he said yeah, I would watch anything that you'd put up, even if it was the history of yarn. And I thought, well, that's funny, because obviously the point he's trying to make there is that it's irrelevant really what I go over. It's just the quality of the video or the audio and all this sort of thing. And really, you can talk about anything. And so thank you very much. It's a lovely compliment. But yeah, I have to say, you know, that statement doesn't really stand, because yarn, by golly, is it an interesting subject? I was like, you know, I'll have a look. Five minutes. I'll go on the yarn Wikipedia page, and let's just start with the official kind of description of what yarn is, according to Wikipedia. So yarn is a long, continuous length of interlocked fibres suitable for use in the production of textiles, sewing, crocheting, knitting, weaving, embroidery, or rope making. Honestly, you can pretty much do anything with it, it seems. Thread, which is a bit of a kind of I suppose a subgenre of yarn, is a type of yarn intended for sewing by hand or machine. So don't be stupid and try and make rope out of thread or anything. Sorry, I don't want to make this video too funny. Obviously you're trying to relax, and I don't want to fill you with laughter before you fall asleep. That really wouldn't be good. Modern manufactured sewing threads may be finished with wax or other lubricants to withstand the stresses involved in sewing. Oh gosh, that does sound stressful. Embroidery threads are yarns specifically designed for needlework. And I have to say, the more I thought about it, and the more I kind of looked into these facts and descriptions, I thought, you know what? I used to think my life really didn't have anything to do with yarn. I would wake up every morning not thinking about yarn, and I'd go to sleep not even thinking about it for a second. I mean, how often during the day do you think about yarn? Rarely at all. I'd say when I received the comment from Gamer Mood 242, and thanks again for leaving the comment, I have to say that was probably the first time I'd thought about yarn in, let's have a think, maybe a couple of months, maybe even a year. Let's push the boat out. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's actually quite shameful to think that it'd been that long since I'd even thought about yarn. But you know, I like to try and be honest with you guys. So you know, yeah, I'd say easily 2 or 3 months, perhaps even more. But you know, we live and we learn. And over the past couple of days since I received that comment, I have to say I've really sunk some time and some effort into just trying to make myself a bit more aware, because you know, it's not good to be ignorant on these sort of topics, especially these sort of the important topics. I think I spent a good portion of my life up to about 16 years old. I think you can let it go. We're young, we're silly, we don't really recognise the important things in our lives. But when you get a bit older, I think things like politics and science and ethics, these philosophy, these things can pass you by unless you've been exposed to them by family, maybe. And I think the same can be said of yarn. Unless your grandmother knits regularly, which I'm afraid to say mine don't. They're far too into things like alcohol. So yarn doesn't really yarn really hasn't been part of my childhood, and I wouldn't say I've missed out on anything, because it's meant that I can find out about it now with a sort of unbiased look on things. So that being said, let's have a look at some more facts about yarn. Let me just get them up. We'll take a break from the take a short break from drawing just for now. Just sort out this and try and draw at the same time if I can sort out my computer windows. Okay, there we go. So I found a brilliant website for finding facts about yarn, and another thing, it was actually damn hard to find a website dedicated to yarn, surprisingly, and even harder to find an actual web page that gave me facts specifically about yarn, because at first I was getting facts about knitting and sort of the things that I suppose you would do with yarn, or types of yarn. I mean, as if that's what I googled. Come on, guys, we have a brilliant resource in the internet, and it takes me a good 5-10 minutes to find a fact about yarn. I mean, what century are we in? But yeah, so I'm still actually really quite enjoying drawing this spool of yarn. So yeah, let's have a look at these facts. So the earliest known yarn and fabric samples were estimated to be around 7,000 years old. Blimey. These were found in Robenhausen, Switzerland, and were bundles of flax fibres and yarns. And now when I think about it, blimey, how clueless could I be? You may know from some of my other videos that I like playing RuneScape. I've got a short series on old school RuneScape going at the moment, and I have a discontinued series that got up to the 7th episode, I believe, on RuneScape 3. And one of the sort of memes that have come out of RuneScape, especially back in the old days, back in sort of 07, 08, the golden years, was flax picking. It's one of the kind of commonest things for bots to kind of exploit, was picking flax and then banking it, and then sort of auto clickers going and collecting flax, and then you would spin it. And I'm reading this now and thinking like the earliest known yarn samples that we have were made from flax, it says, but I think it means flax fibres. It was staring me right in the face from day one when I was sort of 10, 11 years old, that just go on the internet and find out about yarn, for crying out loud. It's not that difficult. The information's there. You just gotta open your eyes. Moving on. Before, yarn was spun on a rounded stick with tapered ends, to which the fibres are attached and twisted, which had a weight attached to it to keep it from rotating. This is known as the spindle. And haul, I guess that's pronounced haul, W-H-O-R-L. Again, the links will be in the description below if you want to check this out for yourself, which was used until the 1300s. Spindle is something that I'm familiar with in relation to yarn, I suppose, and spinning. So in order to make yarn, actually let's just quickly write this, because what I'm drawing here is actually luxury yarns. This might not be, without wanting to be too presumptuous, this might not be the sort of yarn that some of you are used to. This is the good stuff that I'm drawing. I'll link the picture that I'm drawing as well. Oh, look at that. In red it says cable knit. And again, oh god, mean, we all know a cable knit jumper is the best jumper out there. I love a good cable knit jumper. In fact, you can't see, but I'm actually wearing one right now. Talk about ignorance. Yeah, I mean, God, get a grip. Yeah, my favourite type of knit jumper is one made by Luxury Yarn. Cable knit Luxury Yarn. My God. Sometimes you don't realise quite how oblivious you are until it's basically spelled out to you. So, in order to make yarn, there are 15 different types of fibres used, which are either natural or synthetic, which we won't talk about too much. Cotton is the most commonly used natural fibre. Good stuff. It is known as the best-selling type of yarn in America. No way, cotton, that's the best-selling type of yarn. Blimey. I would have thought it'd been some sort of synthetic thing. But anyway, the most commonly used yarn colour types are those with a single uniform hue. However, there are also other colour types available, such as, well, here we go. This is where we get into the sort of nitty-gritty, sort of the dark underworld of yarn. Heathered or tweed, which is yarn with flecks of different coloured fibre. Oh, I do like a good tweed jacket. Don't own one anymore, but I used to when I was a little bit younger. Ombre, lovely word, which is yarn with light and dark shades of a single hue. Let's just put a few more of. Let's put a few more of these in. I'm gonna go. Don't tell me off, but I'm gonna go a little bit rogue with this drawing. I was drawing it a little bit too perfectly, but I think I'm gonna take a little bit of creative liberty now. I'm just kind of drawing my own. You know, the top half was kind of perfect to the picture, at least copied to the picture, and now I feel like I have at least a little bit of knowledge about yarn, enough to take this sort of creative, liberty, I suppose. It's my own sort of take on yarn. It's an interesting sort of artistic and creative development, really. It's sort of like character development, as you'd see in a show or something, or in a good book. You know, this top half is this boy clearly doesn't know. He's really a child when it comes to the yarn knowledge, and now we move through this kind of landscape of luxury yarn, and that's sort of symbolic of me learning about yarn. And now he's kind of connected with the world of yarn, and he feels like he wants to make yarn his own, really, which is kind of how I feel. Although sometimes, you know, I say these things and you'll find something out that you could never have believed about yarn in the first place, and it's like, I mean, did you even know yarn in the first place? Barely at all. Anyway, sorry, I'm starting to ramble. So let's get back to the facts after I finish this little bit here. That looks nice. I like this little cross bit here. Lovely. Typical of yarn. So multicoloured is another type of. I'm going through the less common yarn colours at the moment. We've already gone through heathered and tweed and ombre. Now multicoloured, which is yarn with 2 or more distinct hues, which, I mean, I guess that's quite obvious, but let's not take anything for granted. Multicoloured yarn, 2 or more distinct hues. Good to remember. Then we have self-stripping, which is yarn dyed with lengths of colour that will automatically create stripes when you knit or crochet. Actually, that is quite interesting. Why did I say actually? Of course it's interesting. It's yarn. Get a clue. Then we have marled. In fact, let's write these down on the side so we don't forget. Let's use a nice light purple. So heathered or tweed. Didn't even know there was another word for tweed. Then we have ombre. Then we have multicoloured. The British spelling, I'm afraid. Then we have self-stripped, which I would love to learn more about, but I don't think we have enough time in this, unfortunately. Then we have marled yarn, which is yarn that is made from strands of different coloured yarn twisted together, if you can imagine such a thing. And finally, although is this another colour? It's got a bullet point, but I'll read it out anyway. The word crochet, which I'm sure we're all familiar with, at least I hope you are. I couldn't imagine for a second you're not. Which comes from the French word croc or crochet. It says crochet comes from the word crochet, which means hook. However, it is believed that the earliest form of crochets used a bent finger instead of a hook. Gosh, I did say about 2 or 3 minutes ago that I felt like I knew what yarn was, and then just as I imagined, you read something like that and you're like, no, I didn't even know yarn. I didn't know yarn because, my God, to think that you could use a bent finger instead of a hook when you're crocheting is just, well, it's just hard to believe. But it's written there down in plain English right in front of me, and I've got no reason to not believe it. So, all right, so let's finish off this little drawing. We've got a couple more fact websites, I believe. We've actually found one that is about knitting facts. I might have a little read through of those just because I want to kind of get a bit more sort of in-depth knowledge about sort of the use of yarn, and I do hope you don't mind, because obviously you will have clicked on a video that's promising yarn facts, and then I start throwing knitting facts, which I suppose is more of a subgenre of yarn. If you wanted knitting facts, you would have clicked on that. Perhaps I should split it into 2 videos, but I won't. So guys, as we finish off this drawing, I wanted to ask you that thanks again so much to GamerMoo242 to bringing this brilliant and thrilling subject into light. And I'd like to ask you guys if you have any other of these sort of truly and undoubtedly interesting subjects. Do send them to me in the comment section or over Reddit or something. I'm the ASMRMedic on Reddit as well, and I would love to cover these subjects. I would like to make it into a little series. Subscriber requested interesting videos. Just I can say that I like doing medical videos and all that, and that's wonderful, sure. But truthfully, I like to kind of broaden out a little bit. So doing this sort of stuff really does help me get a broader knowledge of the world, I suppose. A part of the world that I never thought I'd be a part of. I really am somewhat envious, I suppose, of you guys who have family who's into knitting, because that is something that I could just listen to someone talk about endlessly and endlessly. Yeah, just one of those things that I'd love to just sit down and just listen to all they have to say about yarn, not knitting. So we're coming towards the end. I just want to do a bit more highlighting. I did do a little bit here of the actual cable knit that you might see, but I'm so sorry, I don't think we have the time to really go into that. So, if you guys are particularly interested, we'll finish the drawing off at another time. Do let me know if this is something that you'd like a part 2 of, or if I should just move on to another thrilling topic. I don't think that you can really talk enough about yarn. Alright, I'm going to use a slightly bigger brush for this now. I do apologise, I hope this hasn't been... It's a fine line that I found. I mean, I'm still only an incredibly small ASMR channel, something that I'm loving doing. It's a fine line between an interesting topic that you can talk about in a sort of educational ASMR sort of setting, and then talking about subjects that are just like, that's just obviously too, not necessarily interesting, but just, in this case, yes, maybe it's just too interesting and people can't really. So for example, if you try to fall asleep to this video, I fear that you might have some trouble, because it's like I can't really fall asleep to podcasts about certain things that I'm interested in. I can only really listen to them when I'm sort of in the mood to listen to them, because if I listen to them when I'm going to sleep, I'm listening too closely to what someone's saying, and that's what I fear might happen with this video, where it's like, okay, well, it's so undoubtedly an interesting topic, that looks quite nice, doesn't it? Let's finish off here as well. But yeah, I feel like it's just too much because I did before the UK general election last week, and the week before. Blimey, I know it was last week. Yeah, I covered the manifestos of the three biggest parties in the UK. Although I mean, Lib Dems. Actually, let's not go into that. Were the biggest parties in the UK, I suppose. Labour, Conservatives, and Lib Dems, and you know, I thought I was treading a line there between okay, and did get a few responses that were saying, you know, this isn't relaxing. It's talking about politics, which is stressful, and or at least to you need to actually get anything away from the educational side of it. You need to be actually engaged with what you're listening to. You can't really passively listen to the manifesto being read to you, which I totally understood, and it was a bit risky doing it, but I'm glad I gave it a go, and this is one of those subjects as well, I suppose. So we'll just finish this up. Maybe we'll finish with a couple of knitting facts, a sort of teaser trailer to what could be to come, depending on the response I get to this video. There we go, we'll just fill all that in. Okay. And actually, let's just fill this in as well. Give it a nice brown hue, which it is in the picture I've been copying. Lovely. Alright guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want more, although I expect you probably will, and don't forget to request similar sort of stuff from me, because I'd love to cover all of this sort of stuff over time. Thanks very much for watching guys. Have a lovely rest of your day or